Hey there, Rajat here from StartupFrat, and today I have another training for how to answer questions and objections from the last time's training. Some people said you mentioned 3 types of interruptions, questions, objections. How do you handle each of the 3 types? So another training today, a much more detailed one around the three types of interruptions you will face in the middle of your sales meeting and how to handle all 3 of them. Okay, now after this I think it will be pretty comprehensive. Everybody will have every idea on how to go ahead, and for further trainings I want to move on to other automated forms of sales and other things as well, in addition to the actually handshake and personal presentation part of it. However, by the end of this video I'll give you a resource which will totally take care of you regarding all possible questions, answers, variations, different scenarios that you face in the handshake sales when you're doing in-person sales one-to-one, or even in a seminar when you're sitting down in front of a bunch of people, right? Okay, so I've written a bunch of things over here on the board. I'll keep referring to them. Sab kuch to aap padh nahi payenge. You may not be able to read all the small handwriting, but it's kind of meant more for my reference so I can get through this video pretty fast without a lot of interruptions and all that. Okay, so real quick, there are 3 types of interruptions when you're giving a sales presentation, when you're sitting in a seminar setting or something like that. You have a bunch of people or you're sitting with a person. There are 3 types of interruptions that they're gonna put in front of you. Okay, broadly 3 types. The first one is curiosity. Okay, you're sitting in front of a customer who doesn't really know what it's about. Okay, you start giving your whole spiel or whatever your flow is, and then they ask a bunch of questions that may or may not be relevant to their problem. उनको खुद ही नहीं पता उनका क्या problem solve हो रहा है इस meeting में, but they may ask couple of questions here and there. They may be it may be latitude interest, just broadly, they may even be trying to build some comfort with you by asking some irrelevant questions. Okay, so curiosity questions. Now these are genuine questions. It's not that they're not genuine, they're trying to make fun of you or something like that. They're genuine questions. Okay, and they usually occur during the initial stages of a presentation. तो कैसा होता है कि initial stages में if you have not built the context properly, you've not come to the point where you want to build the context. People sometimes ask all kinds of curiosity. They're curious about something which does not have an immediate bearing on the discussion at hand. Okay, that's a curiosity question or interruption. Usually in the first initial stages it happens. The second thing is objections. Objections are generally they have a problem with a certain product feature or something like that. Okay, also these objections may come up about features after you have disclosed the price. Okay, और price सुनने के बाद कई लोग they want to give objections about the features in order to try to get out of the sales situation. That's also fair. Okay, then these objections may be a barrier to the sale, which means these objections may be real and they may want that if this objection is not sorted, it may be about terms, payment terms and conditions, services terms or something like that. It may be a barrier, or it may not be a barrier. It may be an objection which is a side objection apart from the dominant buying motive. We call it the DBM, dominant buying motive. उनको क्या problem है? Main, what is the problem they have with their current supplier, or what is the problem they have that they are unable to solve? This product solves their problem. They're broadly in the game. Okay, but it's this objection is some minor thing that is giving them some irritation or something like that. Okay, so it may be a big problem, which means it could be a showstopper, or it may also be like a sidey objection which does not impact the dominant buying motive, DBM. Okay, now what are complaints? Complaints are usually you will face towards the end of your presentation. You already come to the end, price has been disclosed, broadly they've said yes, whatever. Okay, you know that they're in the game, but they still have some complaints. Okay, some complaint. They're throwing a tantrum because they have to cut a check. They're like, okay, usually a lot of customers have this mindset of throwing out a complaint. Just because I'm cutting a check, let me complain about something, right? So usually they have taken the decision in their mind. You must understand this is very important. They've usually taken a decision in their mind, okay, and they will probably throw out a complaint about the price. Arey yaar, bahut महंगा hai. Of course, everything is expensive. Yeah, even if it's free, they will still have some problem about it. Okay, And the second thing, it could be about the aesthetics. Why doesn't the company make this in pink color, blue color, green color? Why do you only have black and white? What is this? Something like that. It's just some tantrum. Okay, it's not a real objection. Okay, so these are the three different types of interruptions. Okay, curiosity, objections, and complaints. Curiosity, one thing I forgot was curiosity also happens, some interruption or something will happen if you start talking to a decision taker. Especially if you're selling to like a family or something, if you're a mutual fund salesperson, LIC or something like that. You're sitting in front of a family, the husband has started talking to you, and 15 minutes later, the wife comes in, okay? And now you're deep into the discussion, and then she asks something which is kind of irrelevant, or you've started talking to the wife and the husband shows up 20 minutes later, asks some stuff which is irrelevant to the discussion, okay? So that's a curiosity item also. It needs to be addressed, okay? And you have different options. What are your options? Your three options are, and all three of them are wrong options. The first option is you answer the question right away. If you answer any question right away, whichever type of question it is, you will immediately move away from the sale, okay? Any answering and all this is basically going to move you away from the sale, okay? The second thing is, it happens a lot with me. They ask some question right in the middle and it irritates me, right? It irritates me, and it shows on my face, what a stupid question, why do you even ask that, right? Something like that. These are the thoughts that go through my mind. I'm also human, okay? So you may get irritated, very dangerous. Yeah, that irritation should not show on your face. The third thing is you may get offended, okay? A lot of people get offended when they're talking about a high quality product, okay? And this prospect throws in another option saying, there's this other company that makes this product at 1/10 the price. Now that product may be a complete load of crap, right? And which is what offends you. You're like, come on sir, baat kya ho rahi hai aur kya baat kar rahe ho? It's offensive, right? But again, this offensiveness should not show on your face. Offensiveness should not show on your face. Any answer you give right away, wrong. Do not do that. Any irritation or feeling offended or something like that, do not do that. Not right. Okay. So how do you actually take care of these things? How do you take care of the curiosity, the objections, and the complaints? Okay. Curiosity questions, objections, and complaints. Okay. Always curiosity. Always acknowledge. Okay. And acknowledge and embrace. You say that's a great question, okay? And thank you for asking that question. It kind of slipped my mind. This is an important point I want to bring towards the end, okay? So always thanks and embrace. The second thing is you want to reword and repeat the question. So you want to repeat the question to them in slightly different words. You say, so from my understanding, what you're trying to ask is, is this thing, instead of adding to your health, also going to cause some risk factors? You're worried about the risk factors, am I right? Okay, and then they have to say, yes, I'm right. Why do you want to reword and retrace the question, repeat the question to them? Is because you want to be sure they're asking what you think they're asking. Abhi sales situation mein kya hai? Pressure mein aa jate hain sales people. Sometimes they are under pressure. They have done 100 plus sales calls. Out of the 100, 50 people asked this question and they had something in their mind. So you automatically assume this is that type of question. The prospect may have something else in their mind. So it's very, very important to keep your ears tuned to what is going on. Yeah, we call it WGO in the academy. WGO, what's going on? You've got to be very, very tuned to what's going on. Okay. So first you acknowledge, you say, thanks for asking that question. It's a very important question. Actually, I should have brought it up myself. But now that you ask, let me just confirm that this is what you want. We're talking about your health or something like that if you have a healthcare product. And what you're also worried about is if you take some, steps without thinking about it, without, kind of understanding where you stand, then actually changing something like this or implementing something like this may also carry its own side effects for the family. Is that what you're worried about? And they're going to be like, yes, that's my concern. So once they say yes, then both of you pretty much know that you're on the same page. Very, very important. Okay. Very, very important. I'll just mark this with a red pen. It says reword and repeat. Okay. Reword and repeat, reiterate. Very, very important. The next thing you want to do is you want to write it down. Okay, you should always have a blank pad and pen with yourself, and you should write it down saying with one ticker word or something, side effects or something like that. And you say, let me write that down because we are going to address this somewhere during the presentation. I just want to make sure I write it down. So by the end of the presentation, if I haven't already addressed it, I will address it at that point. At that point, we can have a longer discussion. But this is part of my presentation, it will be addressed. Is that fine? Okay. So you always want to acknowledge, you want to write it down for your own memory that this thing needs to be taken care of, right? And then you say it's already there. We have already addressed it during the later part of my presentation, but I'm just writing it down in case I miss it. I'm going to make sure we take care of this before we finish for today, right? And they say yes, okay. So these are the 4 steps, 1, 2, 3, 4. Now, what about an objection? Now, this objection is typically happening towards the end of the presentation, especially around prices and all that, okay? Now, if you're a salesperson or if you're a business owner who is used to doing this stuff, the top 20 different objections should be built into your presentation, which means experience say you should know what are the different objections that usually come up, right? Price ka, value ka, delivery time, service levels, whatever. And they should be built into your presentation. So your presentation should be built around the actual prospect objections that, that are there, and all the features and benefits that you talk about. No feature and benefit should be talked about loosely. Every feature and benefit should tie into an objection that will probably occur in the prospect's mind at the time of the close. So from prior experience, your presentations need to get better and better and better so that your close rate improves from 2% to 5% to 10% to 20%, whatever it is, okay? And the way you do that is every feature and benefit that you've talked about earlier on in the presentation needs to feed into an objection that is likely to come later, right? So that's the first one. It's not a tactical item, it's a strategic item. You need to take care of this beforehand. The second thing is you need to ask them plain and simple. Okay, let me ask you this: is this something that's going to affect your buying decision today? Okay, is this something that's going to stop us from taking action today? The prospect may say yes and no. If they say no, this is just a minor thing, it's not really a big thing, but hey, I had an objection. Okay, I had an objection. Once they have said that, in 2 out of 10 cases, they're actually going to say that. It's a very important question. Let me ask you this, Mr. or Ms. Prospect: is this something that is, that is going to stop you from taking action today? Especially if they've asked it towards the end of the presentation. And if they say no 2 out of 10 cases, then you're home free. Very important. Then you're home free. You don't need to try very hard. In the 8 cases out of 10, they may say, yeah, this is a big problem, etc. Then this prospect is not serious in the first place. If they're using some objection and all to come in the way of them taking action for something, they already showed a desire and interest. Okay, they already spent an hour of your time or whatever. If they're trying to use that as some kind of a bargaining chip or something, then they're not serious. So in that case, what you do is you go back and requalify them with the 4 key questions, saying, that's fine. Before I answer that question, let me ask you this: you're the person who is in charge of the budget. You have the budget for this. You have the interest for this. You are the decision taker. They say yes. And then you ask them, you say, if I were to remove this objection from play, if I were to come up with something, I don't know if I can. Never say you can 100% remove an objection or something. You say, I don't know if I can take care of this or not, but if I could, would there be anything else standing in the way of us moving forward today? It's called a double loop, okay? Double loop, requalify and double loop. What's a double loop? So let me take a step back. You are the owner, you have an interest, you have a need. We've already discussed how this can actually save you money, make you money, improve your health, whatever it is. Yes. And this particular objection is the only thing that stands between you and taking this decision. They're like, yes. Okay, let me ask you this. If you were to take action and take this decision, move forward today, assuming I were able to clear this objection, how would you be making the payment? And they say, well, yeah, I'll pay in check, I'll pay in cash, whatever. You say, okay. Let me ask you this. I'm not sure if I can take care of this right now or not, but if I could, would there be any other item that would stop us from doing business today? Would there be any other thing? And they'll probably say no. Okay, now the 8 out of 10 prospects, you got them locked in over here. 2 out of 10, if they say yeah, it's not a big item, then you're going to get a win, right? So you don't need to work hard. Okay, so you double loop it, lock it down. Okay, don't answer this at that point. You move ahead. Okay, and towards the end of the presentation, when it's time for you to ask for a check or something like that, at that point you open up your kimonos, give them the solution, and ask for the check. Okay, or the best thing is say, why don't you get your checkbook from inside? I'll call my manager. We'll see if there's something we can do. You write the check. Okay, have them get the checkbook on the table so they're ready to go. Okay, I know it's difficult in every case you're unable to do it, but there are ways and techniques around it. Okay, so that's fine. Again, no sales situation is perfect. There's not a salesperson on this planet who has 100% close rate, regardless of how good the leads are. Okay, so I understand if you're thinking to yourself, oh, it doesn't happen for me. I agree with you. Okay, next, complaint. A complaint is something the prospect does like a little child. So everybody has that little primal brain in them. Yeah? The child that cries all the time, if it's made to eat their vegetables or made to clean their room or whatever it is, right? It's a child that wants to cry. That is the primal brain. Now when you ask them to take action, which is write the check or whatever it is, they're going to come up with some out of the way complaint saying, the price is very high. Why doesn't your company make this in blue? Why do you have the terms like that, etc.? They've already made the decision in their mind. Okay, so at that point, what do? Is you agree with them. There is no point fighting it back. You say, I agree with you. It's a bummer situation. Hopefully it changes soon. Okay. Sign here, please. Okay, so move out the order form or the check and say, sign here, please. Okay, or make the check in the name of so and so. Just acknowledge, agree, and move on. It's the whole train is moving. Not to worry. This minor objection or complaint is not going to stop it. Okay, very, very important. So all of the things that otherwise I see a lot of salespeople do, which is they get into the discussion, they get defensive, they get irritated or whatever. Come on, sir, 5 lakh ki baat ho rahi hai, usme aisi baat kar rahe ho, or something like that. They just kind of not willing to play the game at all levels of the mental struggle. It's a mental war between you, psychological war between you and the prospect. So you need to be willing to play or fight at all levels, right? By fight, it's not a good word to use in a sales situation because you're trying to walk with them and bring them along with you. So fight is not a good word, but you got to operate at all these levels. And the prospects are going to throw, different curveballs. Again, even the prospect doesn't know they're throwing curveballs. It's just that people become very, very defensive when they know that they have to take action, especially when the action involves money. Okay, so you need to understand all of these. These are the 3 different types. These are the ways to understand. These are the things you do. Okay, now if this interests you and you want to go very deep into how this thing works, we have a 1.5 hour masterclass. Okay, we have a 1.5 hour masterclass. I've opened up the coupon for a limited time. The masterclass is for 599 rupees. Even for community members on a Hangout group, it's for 199 rupees. But for a couple of days, I'm going to open the coupon because of all the emails and comments, etc. that I got. Okay, so if you go to startupfrat.club/sales, startupfrat.club/sales, you will be able to access this 90-minute masterclass for free. Okay, it's a paid masterclass, but if it can just help you get your brain clear of all the different situations, the whole structure, what are the 4 different things you need to ask the prospect, what are the 4 different things they need to ask you, etc., etc. The whole thing is very much in detail. Some of the world's best education as promised. You won't find it on YouTube, Udemy. You won't read a big book about it or anything like that. It does not exist. Okay, so if you want to take action, get all this benefit, it's startupfrat.club/sales. I'll keep the coupon open for a couple of days so you can access it for free. Otherwise, for community, it's 199. For outsiders, it's 599. All right. So I'll see you in the next video where we talk more about how to machine the process of how making these sales. So a lot of this stuff can be done by a machine, and you can do some of the more highly focused stuff. Okay. I'll see you in the next video. Bye bye.